I'm joined by someone I respect so much, and I'm so excited to have a community leader in the Boorloo dance scene here with me right now. Sepsi, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Can you start off a little bit just as an intro to anyone out there who might not know who you are? They should. But tell us a little bit about yourself, and can you tell us what's your DJ name and what do you do for fun and for work and in the scene?
Yeah, so I'm Sepsi, DJ Sepsi, just because I'm not that creative.
Yeah.
But I also just I have more than enough names, so I just don't need to find another one. I have been a DJ for maybe 3 years, maybe approaching. I don't really remember most of my DJing. And yeah, I guess DJing is something that I do for fun, and for work I've been lucky enough to have that as one of the things I've integrated into the community aspect of the work I do. But I'm currently doing event coordination at the Art Gallery of WA.
Yeah,
so,
and booking some amazing DJs for that as well. And it's really cool that something that was maybe a hobby and a passion has turned into a job.
Yeah.
Can you tell us in your own words, what is DJing to you?
DJing, I don't want this to be condescending in any way, but DJing is really just pressing buttons and listening to stuff in your headphones, and then 3 seconds later playing it for everyone else on speakers. And that's the simplest way. That's kind of what I tell people during workshops, is it's not this whole intimidating thing. You just need to know 3 or 4 buttons and you can DJ.
Yes.
So that's how I
I think from the outside in it looks like a lot more, you're doing a lot more, but really it's memorizing. Three buttons. and I guess the curation side of it as well. We've already talked about how long you've been a DJ for, maybe around 3 years. What made you first decide you wanted to get into DJing?
I got into DJing because of a friend who was doing DJ workshops for black women in Footscray in Naarm. This was kind of like a season where I wasn't really doing anything. I didn't feel like going to classes. I was just chilling. I was just, but I've always had a background in music. I've always done music either at school or through church. So it was mainly choir and playing guitar. Performances and stuff. So I guess I was just stagnating a bit in that creativity, and she invited me to come to a workshop. I wasn't really interested. I just went to hang out with people for a few hours. I was like, nah, I don't feel like trying. You guys do it. I'll just watch. And then I came home for a semester break, and I hit up Will, Kalimbo and Cameron Park, and I was like, can I just come over and see what you guys are doing? And that was the first time where I actually figured out what DJing was. So Will Kalimba taught me how to beat match and introduce the EQs and stuff a bit, and then Cam came and flexed on the EQs, and I was like, oh shit, that's what you do with them. And then that's kind of what made it stick in my head, and from there I just was thrown into the deep end by Abyss, who first introduced me to DJing, and she was like, here's a controller, here's a gig on Friday, good luck. And she did that for months, and then that's how I learned.
Sometimes the best way to learn how to do something is just being thrown into it and figuring out your way, but it's so great you had friends to show you, and a community as well to support that. What sort of music do you enjoy playing, and do you have a favourite genre?
Yeah, I feel like the only genre I can actually with confidence name is Amapiano, which is what I play. I don't know any other genres. So Amapiano is a subsection of South African house, which has evolved, I guess, from the old school Pansula and what's it called again? My mom and dad would be so disappointed. I've forgotten what this genre was called. I forgot. Anyway, the old school shit. It's not all that old school, but 2000s. But the beginning of SA House was influenced by Chicago House. So it's just evolved to this point where it's something really new and fresh and is like a melting pot of many different sounds, which I think is why everyone's response is like, what is this? It's because it like tickles so many parts of the brain when listening to it. But yeah, that's what I enjoy playing, and I only stick to that. I don't really mess around too much with anything else. For anyone
who might not have caught one of your sets, you're very affectionately known in the scene as Mama Piano. And
Shout out Aslan for that.
I think for me personally, you were one of the first people I saw out playing Piano. So that was really cool to see that kind of introduced to the scene, and especially here in Boorloo, and then more and more people of colour DJing as well that you've been kind of influencing, and hearing more and more Piano out and about, which is great. So cool. Yeah. When you're putting together sets, where do you look for your music, and are there any sort of websites or streaming platforms or anything that you kind of dig? I know we just talked about you haven't dug for music in a little while, but where do you generally look for your tracks?
Trying to think of like when I started, this is why I got pushed into DJing, is I was a person with like 100 Spotify playlists who's constantly just like accumulating music because I was listening to it constantly. And then when I did get into the DJing, I feel like DJing and memes are like this for me. I just got onto the South African meme algorithm somehow on Instagram, and my mom was like deeper in it than I was. So she'd just send me like reels and like videos and be like, I'd like search in the comments, the song is called this. So my mom was my plug. Like we were not looking on Spotify or YouTube, it was mom being like, they said that this is the song I asked in the comments. Like,
big ups to Sepsi's mom putting together your DJ sets. I love that.
Yeah, so that's like the main way, is just actually seeing what South Africans are doing. And like Spotify is the plug. Like at the end of the day, Piano as it stands now is South African pop music. It's not like an underground scene thing. So I just follow the Spotify like Piano playlist. And I'm like, as shit comes out, I'm like, cool. Like I'm literally playing pop music. Yeah. But here it's like, oh, it's so cool underground. It's like, yeah. Like,
and I mean, the algorithm works in your favour a lot as well. I find so much music through Spotify, and it's so nice to then go like support the artists and purchase it elsewhere, and digging really deep into things like SoundCloud playlists as well. Yeah. What sort of equipment were you first learning to DJ on, and what sort of equipment as well would you recommend to someone, say, starting out DJing for the first time, and wanting to, practice a little bit?
Yeah. What I started on was like a little Serato controller. I forget what like the actual model is, but the little ones that you plug into like your laptop. And I've been using Serato DJ Lite, which is free. Like you can't record on it, but you can do everything else. And a small like JBL Bluetooth speaker, and that's still my setup to this day. It's just like shitty headphones, little controller, Bluetooth speaker in my room, and then when I got into playing Piano out more, the hack was just listening to the songs in the car with like the bass up. Like I was lucky enough to have a car with really good subs, so I could hear like all the aspects. So practicing at home is just getting the timing in, and then listening is literally knowing all the parts of the song and where it dips and all of this. And most of the practice is just in my head, I guess.
Yeah, it's really about like knowing your music well, and equipment doesn't need to be very expensive to practice, especially when you rock up to the club. They're going to have that all there for you. What's been one of your favourite memories or experiences you've had DJing out, playing to a dance floor so far?
I think Weekend at Bernie's was the first gig I played where I actually was like, oh, I am a DJ. Like everyone's called me that, but I was like, I'm just pressing buttons. And Weekend at Bernie's, that set was like just such an honour, because I think it, I don't know, I think it just was visible to me how people saw me, I guess, and I was able to like be comfortable and safe enough to open myself up to accept that. So Kyle giving me like an amazing set time to almost, it was like the second last set to kind of close out a festival. I've never been to a festival, like, I've never done that kind of stuff. So it was really cool for me to have that space and like really claim what people have kind of projected onto me from a place of safety. So that was really nice, and just to kind of be there and have everyone I love and everyone who loves me support me, but also go, yeah, I'm claustrophobic. Can you fuck off? Yeah. And then I turn around and there was like no one there, and I just like remember being like, I can dance. And it's like the only time I've ever danced when DJing. Yeah. I'm always held like,
it's a lot of focusing.
Like, I don't look up. So I'm like, no, I can't look at you guys. Like, the shades are not to look cool. The shades are so I can't see you. But with that day, I was just like,
really feeling your vibe.
Yeah.
And Weekend at Bernie's was such an awesome festival, because we have been isolated in Perth for quite a while, and it was fully local artists and giving people like yourself a platform to play like the peak time slots was so great for our dance music community. And big love out to the folks running that festival. Yeah. What's a way that DJing makes you feel more connected to a community? You've got a lot of involvement in the community and do some really wonderful things. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I think for me, connection in DJing comes more from the workshops and intentional engagement. I've really enjoyed, I guess, being able to transfer knowledge with others, and in doing that bolster my own, whether if it's not about the technicality of DJing, it'll be about something else. It'll be about how to communicate to others, or like how to work in a group setting and make sure that, you know, I'm communicating effectively. Like there's so many different things I learn in each workshop. So that's been the most, I guess, fulfilling part of DJing to me.
Yeah. And being able to build up other people. I feel like something I've learned myself through DJing and being a part of the community is it's not as competitive as people think. It's really nice to be able to provide a platform for other people. And you've also done some really amazing work with, say, networks, Soul Alphabet, and you have just run some really great workshops through AGWA for First Nations DJs.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, because that was an amazing project.
That was very, it's like my first little project in what is my new safe little bubble of AGWA, where I can kind of just get up to my own devices and not feel like I'm being watched or anything, because everyone's like, oh, that's Sepsi. Yeah. Like people are way too busy to be interested in what I'm doing.
You.
That's also the positive side of it. It's not in such a patronizing way. So I guess it was something where I was like, I've been doing this, let's see how we can make it work in what is a place that belongs to the state, it belongs to the community. So I asked Kev Wilson if he'd be willing to do something with me, because we'd both been doing call outs on Instagram to see if people were interested in learning. So we just thought we'd come together and do it as a team. People signed up, and we kind of just did a pilot program of workshops in that space to see how it could work, and they went really well. So it's been good. It's been exciting to like book everyone as well after that, and have the chance to do that and to pay them, and not be worried so much about logistics, but just know I can do it, and I have like that backing of an institution, I guess, to just do the shit and bring people in and like empower everyone else as well. So
There have been a few workshops that you've been involved in, say at AGWA and at Soul Alphabet as well, and you are obviously an amazing teacher. We've seen lots of DJs come up through the programs and join our scene, and now they're all playing out, and it's so great to see so many new DJs and new faces. so good. Is that something you'd recommend to someone wanting to start DJing, getting into a workshop program, or are there any other places, say someone who might be a bit nervous to step foot in the DJ realm?
I think it depends on how someone's brain is wired, I guess. If people find safety and comfort in a herd, fucking come to a workshop, you know, because then you'll see that you're not the only one that doesn't know anything, and you're not going to be so hard on yourself. And I guess like you're not just learning from one person, as if you hit a friend up, then you're just one person. If you get frustrated, they get frustrated. It's like, oh, that's it. Like in a workshop, like you'll get frustrated, go sit down, 4 other people will have their turn. When you've cooled down, you can have a go again. So that's what works best with workshops. But I guess someone like myself, like my friends knew me well enough to just be like, here's the gear, see you later. Like, I'll be like, I have questions. Like when I'm getting frustrated, they're like, dude, Google it. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, true. Because if I asked you and you gave me an answer I didn't want, I'd just quit. Yeah. So I knew and they knew how I worked. So that's kind of what worked for me. Yeah. And I always just tell people who come through the workshops, if I kind of feel like they're disengaged, I'm like, I'll lend you the controllers. Like you can come over and just practice and do it yourself, and I'll just go and cook dinner or something. And yeah, that's kind of how it's worked for some people. So yeah, just give it a go, and if you don't like it, then tick that off and go try something else again. But at least try. Yeah, there's so many different ways to learn nowadays. When I first started DJing, it wasn't workshops. There was only paid places that you could spend a lot of money on, which are also great experiences for a lot of people. But then there's so much on the internet nowadays that you can just look up a YouTube tutorial, and your friend says, here's a controller, here's a step-by-step like thing on the internet that can teach you. Do you have any advice for someone wanting to get into DJing? Any words of wisdom or what to expect? I don't know if that's like a good thing to say, but like take this with a pinch of salt. Don't be too confident that you know what you're doing, because I think there are DJs who've been doing it for like 10 years and they still don't know everything. Like I hang out with Rock Riley and I'll see her during a set and she's like, Sepsi, I'm like, still? Like, if you feel like that, is there hope for me? But like, it's not in a way to scare anyone, but it's in a way to know that like, if you've been doing it for years and years and you still don't know what you're doing, that's probably a good thing. Yeah. Because you're giving yourself room to grow and learn, as opposed to people who think they know everything and they've got this, and they stay in the same spot for 4 years and it's like all the rest of the scene has grown. So yeah, I think that would be the main thing. It's just like be comfortable and not having it all and just keep growing. Yeah, it's definitely, there's so much to learn, and it may never feel like you know everything, but the more you practice and the more time you spend on it, I guess you grow and you learn. But it's funny that you said Rock Riley has said that. She said similar things to me before, and as someone you might idolize, and you think they're just the most amazing DJ and they're perfect and they know everything, even still they might not feel like they know everything yet. So never feel disheartened, I guess, if you don't feel like you're getting where you want to be yet. What's been one of the hardest things for you being a DJ or being in the scene? I think boundaries. That's just like me in general, but I think being a DJ and being in the scene really illuminated that for me, and just kind of showed me that you can't be all things to all people at any given time. There will be a lot of people in the scene who are drawn to you, and it's like that's on them. It's not so much for you to be like, oh, okay, what can I give to you since you're here? Just be yourself and do what you're doing, because you'll just run yourself dry. So it's very easy to get burnt out in the scene where I guess if you're too open and you're giving too much all the time, not giving to yourself, you'll start to feel resentful or paranoid that people are constantly just there to take from you. But if you don't speak up for yourself and say, well, I need something too, like no one's teaching me anything, I've taught you everything I know, now we're all on the same level, what am I gonna do? So just it's a bit of a in and out sort of thing as well, where you have to be patient with yourself and give to yourself while you're giving to others, and also just knowing where you stand with things. Like it's not always that deep. Like I always see things as too deep. At the end of the day, like you're partying in a club. Like, you're not gonna find like your soul tribe family everywhere and stuff like that. Which those experiences feel like that, but for everyone else, it's like they're going out to have fun, when you're a DJ and it's your job, you're there every week. You're there 3 times a week. So it's learning how to have boundaries and kind of look after yourself is the main thing. I'm just recovering from burnout now. Like, it's taken me 3 months.
It's definitely when you're that involved in things, and it can be hard to prioritize yourself a little bit. So it's good to remember to have fun. Because sometimes it might not seem as fun when you're turning it into a work thing, and you might need to just take a step back and a breather, which you've done. It seems like it's working really well.
Yes, I hope so.
You've said not to get too deep with it, but I'm about to get deep with it. Where do you see, especially the Boorloo scene, going, and what would you like to see in the community's future?
Yeah, I think a huge part of stepping back has been to construct an idea of that. Hopefully I'm close. I don't really know yet where we're going. But I don't think it's on me to know. I think I've kind of internalized a sort of responsibility as someone who is giving to the scene to be the person to construct an idea of it, but that's a community thing. And if everyone in the community is not ready to sit and stop and consider what we're working towards, then I'm just going to rest and wait for everyone to kind of speak to that as a community. But ideally what I would like to see is a bit more, intentional engagement with things. But that's just like generally speaking. And then even with DJing, it has to be something where this is community. This is something where across cultures and languages and stuff, people congregate to dance and to be with each other and listen to music and, celebrate and laugh. And that's something we shouldn't take lightly. And it's not something that we should just, be going out and taking drugs and getting drunk and all of that. We need to start considering what it is we're doing and how we're building each other in engaging in that process, which for a lot of communities for a very long time has been a sacred thing. So I think we need to move back towards balancing that process with each other. So that's what I'd like to see. Yeah,
that's beautiful, and I hope that's what people are able to especially take from your work, and just the things you're involved in as well in the community. And I think you've done a really great job in your time in Boorloo, doing and working towards that. Final question for you, which is much less deep, but a lot of fun. What's a track that will always bring you to a dance floor?
That's a hard one. I'm like, I don't know. I think it's more of a mood thing for me. Because it's like, if I'm not in the mood to dance, nothing will get me out of it. But if I'm in the mood to dance, I will go and dance to Taylor Swift. It doesn't matter. But I think one that would always bring me to the dance floor would probably be like some of the old school Congolese tracks that Mum would play on cleaning day. It'd be any one of those. That's probably the one that would last forever.
So we need your mum bringing some music to the club. It'll get you on the dance floor. No, that's so great. I would love to see your mum behind the deck.
Yeah, maybe that's my comeback, is like back to back with Mum. But like it'd just be day parties only and not on a Sunday. Those are her boundaries.
That's very fair. I think we should all have those boundaries.
I just like somewhere to sit down when I can't be bothered standing up anymore. I'm like, we can sort that out.
More mums at the dance music.
Yeah, I'm all about intergenerational involvement and engagement. And I think that's kind of what I'm trying to communicate in that, moving towards a more balanced process of dancing and being together and being out is like, it doesn't have to be something for ravers who are like 20-something-year-old. Like it has to be something for everyone. Growing up, my parents were not the party parents, but they were young when they had me, and I was in the little car seat at the parties, and there were other kids there, and there was grandparents there, there was aunties and uncles, and that to me is what a party is. It's not, being in a club that's dark and just like negative vibes.
It sounds more fun, honestly.
So I'm like, let's move back to that,
Great. Well, thank you so much for all of your time and your words of wisdom, and I can't wait to see you back behind the deck soon. Hopefully.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.